Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about something that could literally save our lives, or ruin them. Carrying a firearm is more than just owning a weapon. It's about being prepared to protect ourselves when it truly matters. While much of the focus in the gun community centers around perfecting the right ways to carry, whether it's inside the waistband, outside the waistband, or appendix carry, there's another side of the story that often gets overlooked: the mistakes. In this video, we'll uncover 3 dangerous and impractical firearm carry methods that could put our safety at serious risk. Our choice of carry method isn't just about convenience, it's about ensuring we're ready to act when every second counts. Before we dive in, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any potentially life-saving content like this. Mistake number 1. The naked carry, no holster. The first mistake that could absolutely destroy our lives is what we call naked carry, carrying our handgun without a proper holster. Now, we've all heard the excuses: holsters are uncomfortable. We just tuck it in our waistband. We keep it loose in our pocket for quick access. We don't want to spend the extra money. Let's be absolutely clear. There is never a good reason to carry a firearm without a proper holster. Here's why this is so dangerous. First off, without a holster covering our trigger guard, we're basically inviting an accidental discharge. Something as simple as our keys, a loose thread from our clothing, or even just shifting positions could lead to an unintentional trigger pull, and that one moment could change our lives forever. Second, an unholstered firearm can shift, rotate, or even fall out throughout our day. Imagine bending over in a public place and having our gun clatter to the ground. Best case scenario? Extreme embarrassment. Worst case? Someone gets hurt or our firearm gets into the wrong hands. Third, holsterless carry drastically increases draw time and inconsistency. When we need our firearm in a defensive situation, we need to know exactly where it is and how to access it efficiently. Without a holster positioning it consistently, we'll fumble around trying to find the grip. And in a life or death situation, those extra seconds matter. Pros of naked carry: perceived quicker access, though this is actually false. No additional investment in gear, may seem more comfortable initially. More concealed in some clothing options, easier to switch between carry locations. Cons of naked carry: extreme risk of accidental discharge. Inconsistent positioning leads to slower actual draw times, high probability of dropping or losing the firearm, unsafe for ourselves and others around us, potentially illegal in many jurisdictions. Sweat and body oils can damage our firearm over time. No protection for our firearm's finish. Increased wear on clothing. Potential for severe injury during vigorous movement. Now, we understand that comfort is important, but the market today offers countless holster options designed for virtually any body type, carry position, and clothing style. From IWB, OWB, appendix, to shoulder, there's a proper holster solution for everyone. Bottom line, if we can't commit to carrying with a proper holster, we shouldn't be carrying at all. It's that simple. Our lives and the lives of those around us are worth more than the minor inconvenience or cost of a quality holster. Mistake number 2. The condition 4. Carry unloaded chamber. The second potentially life-ruining mistake is what we firearms instructors often call condition 4 carry, carrying with an empty chamber. This means we have a magazine inserted, but no round in the chamber, requiring us to rack the slide before firing. We hear this a lot from newer carriers. We just don't feel comfortable with a round in the chamber, or it's safer this way. Let's break down why this approach could fail us when we need our firearm most. First and foremost is the time factor. In a defensive scenario, we typically have mere seconds to react. Having to rack the slide adds precious time to our response. Multiple studies and real-world incidents have shown that the average person takes between 1 to 2 additional seconds to draw, rack, and fire, compared to drawing from a loaded chamber. In a self-defense situation, those 1 to 2 seconds can be the difference between life and death. Second, consider that most defensive situations happen at extremely close range. If an attacker is within arm's reach, we may not physically have the space to rack our slide. Now we're holding what amounts to an expensive paperweight. Third, racking a slide requires two hands. What if our non-dominant hand is injured? What if we're using it to shield a loved one? What if we're grappling with an attacker? In any of these scenarios, our two-handed requirement just rendered our firearm useless. P rows of empty chamber. Carry may feel psychologically safer for new carriers. Technically eliminates the possibility of accidental discharge, though proper holsters already do this, can be appropriate during specific training phases, but not for daily carry. More comfortable for those transitioning from non-carry to carry. Some older firearm designs may be more suited to this method. Cons of empty chamber carry. Critical time delay, when seconds matter most, requires two hands to make the firearm operational. Impossible to operate if one hand is injured or occupied. Creates a false sense of security that can lead to complacency. Adds complexity to an already stressful situation. Racking the slide creates noise that eliminates tactical surprise. Creates opportunity for short stroking the slide under stress. Inconsistent with most professional and law enforcement training. Now we understand the safety concerns. Modern firearms from reputable manufacturers have multiple internal safety mechanisms specifically designed to prevent accidental discharge. When carried in a proper holster that fully covers the trigger guard, a loaded chamber is perfectly safe. If we're not comfortable carrying with a loaded chamber, that's a sign we need more training and familiarization with our firearm. Not that we should compromise our defensive readiness. Mistake number 3, the accessibility nightmare, deep concealment overkill. The third critical mistake that could ruin our lives is what we call the accessibility nightmare, when our concealment method is so complex or buried that we can't actually access our firearm when needed. Examples include carrying in a bag or purse that's often set down or away from our body, multiple layers of clothing covering our firearm with no quick access point. Carrying in ankle holsters while wearing tight pants, using overly complex retention systems we haven't mastered, carrying in the small of our back where we can't easily reach. The fundamental purpose of carrying a defensive firearm is having it accessible when needed. If our gun is so deeply concealed that we can't draw it efficiently under stress, we've defeated the entire purpose. Here's why this is so dangerous. First, in a defensive situation, we'll experience severe adrenaline dump and stress. Fine motor skills deteriorate rapidly under stress. If our concealment method requires precise movements or complex manipulations, we'll likely fumble the draw when it matters most. Second, time is critical. If our firearm is buried under multiple layers or requires removing other items first, those extra seconds can be fatal in a defensive encounter. Third, inconsistent access means inconsistent training. If we're constantly changing how we carry based on outfits or situations, we're not building the muscle memory needed for an efficient defensive response. Pros of deep concealment. Maximum visual concealment can accommodate larger firearms in some cases, potentially more comfortable for extended wear, may allow carry in non-permissive environments, where legal, can work with a wider variety of clothing styles, reduced printing concerns, may reduce likelihood of someone detecting we're armed. Cons of deep concealment. Drastically increased access time, often requires two hands or complex movements. Inconsistent draw stroke interferes with muscle memory. Severe risk of entanglement during the draw, often incompatible with stress response and adrenaline effects, may create a false sense of security, frequently abandoned due to inconvenience, leading to inconsistent carry, can lead to neglecting practice with our actual carry method. The solution is finding the right balance between concealment and accessibility. Our carry method should allow us to 1. Access our firearm in under 2 seconds. 2. Draw with one hand if necessary. 3. Access it from multiple body positions, standing, seated, lying down. 4. Maintain consistent positioning throughout the day. Remember, the best concealment method is one that's comfortable enough that we'll actually use it consistently, concealable enough that we maintain the element of surprise, but accessible enough that we can deploy our firearm when needed. Now let's talk about the real-world consequences of these mistakes. Beyond the obvious physical dangers, there are legal and life-altering ramifications that could utterly destroy our lives. An accidental discharge from carrying without a proper holster could result in criminal charges of negligent homicide or manslaughter, civil lawsuits that could bankrupt us for life, the psychological trauma of having harmed someone through negligence, loss of our right to own firearms entirely. Being unable to access our firearm in time due to poor carry methods could mean the unthinkable tragedy of being unable to protect ourselves or loved ones, the lasting trauma of victimization, living with the what-if question for the rest of our lives. The reality is that carrying a firearm is a serious responsibility. These mistakes aren't just bad practices. They're potentially life-ruining errors that could have devastating consequences for us and those around us. We've seen too many cases where these exact mistakes led to tragedy. There are numerous court cases where people have faced criminal charges because they carried without a proper holster and had an accidental discharge. We've read about defensive situations where someone couldn't access their firearm quickly enough because it was buried under layers of clothing or stored in an inaccessible position. These aren't theoretical concerns, they're documented realities that have destroyed lives. So what should we do instead? Here are our top recommendations for safe, effective carry. Invest in quality gear, a proper holster specifically designed for our firearm model, a sturdy gun belt that distributes weight properly, quality retention systems appropriate for our activity level. Train consistently. Practice drawing from concealment regularly with an unloaded firearm. Take professional defensive handgun courses. Drill our emergency response under various conditions. Develop consistency. Find a carry method that works across most of our daily activities. Stick with it long enough to develop muscle memory. Use the same draw stroke regardless of position. Carry methods for special circumstances. Sometimes our daily lives require adaptations to our standard carry methods. Here are some considerations for special circumstances. Physical limitations. Shoulder injuries may necessitate support side carry. Back problems might make belt carry uncomfortable. Limited hand dexterity may require simplified retention systems. Professional attire. Tuckable holsters allow for professional appearances. Belly bands can work with suits and dress clothing. Smart carry or specialized undergarments may be viable options. Athletic activities. Belly bands or specialized athletic holsters. Hill people gear chest packs for hiking, running. Specialized running holsters with enhanced retention. Vehicle operations. Consider accessibility while seated and belted. Practice drawing while in the seated position. Understand the legal implications of carrying in vehicles. Remember, carrying a firearm isn't about looking cool or feeling powerful. It's about having a tool of last resort to protect ourselves and our loved ones if the unthinkable happens. Let's treat it with the seriousness it deserves. Beyond just avoiding mistakes, here's a progressive training roadmap to develop true competence with your defensive firearm. Stage 1. Fundamental safety and handling. Take a basic handgun safety course. Master the 4 universal firearm safety rules. Develop proper administrative handling procedures. Practice proper loading, unloading, and clearing procedures. Stage 2. Skill development. Develop accuracy fundamentals through regular range practice. Master proper grip, stance, sight alignment, and trigger control. Begin practicing controlled pairs and follow-up shots. Introduce drawing from the holster when range rules permit. Stage 3. Defensive application. Take a defensive handgun course from a reputable instructor. Practice drawing from concealment. Start with dry fire. Introduce movement, use of cover, and positional shooting. Begin force-on-force training with simulation tools, airsoft, simunition. Stage 4. Scenario-based training. Participate in scenario-based training events. Practice decision-making under stress. Incorporate verbal commands and de-escalation. Train with reduced visibility and unusual positions. Stage 5. Continuous improvement. Maintain regular practice schedule. Periodically revalidate skills with qualified instruction. Stay updated on legal developments in self-defense law. Cross-train in medical skills, especially trauma care. Remember that laws vary significantly by jurisdiction, so this is general information only. Always research the specific laws in your area and consider consulting with an attorney who specializes in firearms law. Key legal considerations include duty to retreat versus stand your ground. Some states impose a duty to retreat before using deadly force. Others have stand your ground provisions that remove this requirement. Understanding which applies in your jurisdiction is critical. Castle Doctrine provides greater legal protection for defensive force in your home, may extend to vehicles or workplaces in some jurisdictions, usually eliminates duty to retreat in these locations. Proportionality of force. Deadly force is generally only justified against threats of death or serious bodily harm. The threat must generally be imminent, not past or future. Your response must be proportional to the threat faced. Brandishing laws. Displaying a firearm, even without firing, has legal implications, can constitute a crime in many jurisdictions if not justified, may still require the same legal justification as actual use. Understanding these legal frameworks isn't just academic. It shapes how we should train and how we might respond in a defensive situation. The best defensive gun use is one that's both tactically sound and legally defensible. Stay safe, stay legal, and carry responsibly. We hope this video has given you some serious food for thought about our carry methods. The decisions we make now about how we carry could literally determine whether we survive a defensive encounter or whether we face life-altering legal consequences. If you recognize yourself making any of these mistakes, don't feel bad. Just make the changes necessary to carry responsibly. The firearms community should be about education and improvement, not judgment. Before we sign off, we want to remind everyone that carrying a firearm is just one piece of personal safety. Situational awareness, de-escalation skills, and avoiding dangerous situations altogether are always our first line of defense. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might benefit from this information. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions about responsible carry methods. Until next time, stay safe, train hard, and carry responsibly.